Welcome back to the Dynasty Lunch Break. I am your host, Garrett Price, and it's been a little bit since we've talked. We had 2 weeks ago, we moved it up a little bit from Thursday to Tuesday. Then last week was the 4th of July, so we weren't able to do it last week. So it's been a little bit since we've gotten to talk, but we are back today, back better than ever. We are in the dog days of summer, middle of July at this point. And man, we are getting ever so close to that preseason start. That's right, beginning of August, we start to see preseason football. And then, of course, we're just a stone's throw away from regular season football and all of our fantasy football dreams coming true. So, appreciate you guys hanging out. Let me make sure I got the chat up here. Of course, so far there's been no technical difficulties, but you never know. You never know. There could always be technical difficulties that pop up. We still don't have the normal camera working, although I think I have a solution. But I was running tight on time today. I'll tell you that story in a second. But Sedated Forks here. What's up, my man? Good to have you. Josh is here. What's good, buddy? Good to have you guys here. Appreciate you bearing with me a little bit late on the start, a little bit late on the jump today. But lots of good things regardless going on here. So, we are in the midst of startup season. We are in the midst of Scott Fish Bowl season. We are. Oh, I wanted to tell you guys why things have been a little bit crazy here. So, little quick story. Ryan, what's good, buddy? So not this past Saturday, but the Saturday before, get a call from my wife, and it's early-ish in the morning. She and her sister had gone out to go garage sale shopping. And she calls me and she says, Garrett, I found this beautiful sectional. It's basically brand new and really, really good deal on it. And I was like, oh, well, okay. That's pretty awesome. But we just bought brand new couches 3 years ago. We don't really need new couches. Like, it's something you do every 10 years or so. 15 years. Like, I don't think we need new couches necessarily. And she's like, oh, no. They're for the basement. I was like, oh, they're for the basement. Well, we haven't finished our basement. She's like, yeah, about that. So I have been finishing the basement the past few weeks, unfortunately. And I shouldn't say unfortunately. It's good. It's something we've been wanting to do. It's needing to be done. So I've already sprayed all the ceilings black, and so it's a flat black, just kind of covering all the pipes and cords and all those good things. All of that's covered. Then put together, I framed up all the walls, so the walls are all framed up, getting ready to get some drywall, get some flooring, get some electric, all those good things. So it's a pretty big project. It's a pretty big project, taking up a good amount of time, basically almost every evening, unless I got, Dynasty Nerd stuff to do or family stuff to do. But it has definitely taken quite a bit of time. But it's been fun. It's been very fun, and I'm excited for the finished project. So maybe I'll have to even post the picture for you guys to see what it looks like when it's all said and done. So today, I want to get to as many questions as I can. We can use this as a pseudo AMA. I want to hang out with you guys. It's been too long since we've talked. Been too long since we've hung out. Been too long since we've, shot the breeze. And I think we need to catch up. So let's answer trade questions. I'm always up for random questions as well. Like, AMAs don't necessarily have to be all Dynasty related. They can be, and I'm fine with that. But yes, I am up for just about whatever too. Ryan said, your wife and my wife should hang out. Yeah. I bet they'd be great friends. There's always a project, always something lurking right around the corner if I'm not careful. So Josh said, did you hire out? I need some of that done too. No, I'm doing it all myself. I hold on. Sorry, that's not good. not good hosting there. Coughing on live air. Hold on. Okay, I think we're good. No, I did not hire it out. I grew up doing construction work with my dad. My dad owned his own business and would remodel homes, flip homes, was even an inspector for a little while. And so I would spend most of my summer breaks, spring breaks, things like that, going with him, putting on shingles, drywall, framing, trim, installing ceiling fans. Whatever. I always had something going on, painting. So I always had something going on with him during the warm months there, and even some Christmas breaks. I would head out and take a day or two of my Christmas break, and it's how I would earn money for gas money and things like that growing up, and even before that, when I was 10, 11, just grunt work, carrying stuff, digging holes, that kind of thing. So I am fairly handy, at least enough to be dangerous, and so taking care of a lot of that myself. And of course, I have him on the other line where I can call him at any point, and get some help there. So yes, I am doing most of that myself. So Sedated Fork says, I have a high stakes league where I am definitely a contender. Problem is I only have Dak and Purdy at quarterback and no first. Willing to part with a 25-second and wide receivers like Downs and Wandale types. Who to target? With only a second and lower tier wide receivers, you're probably not going to get anybody super valuable. But I do think that's a great range to go get Matthew Stafford, Aaron Rodgers, somebody that's only going to help you for a couple years. But I think those are the types of guys that you can go out and get. Make sure you have a third quarterback, because if you wait till the season, somebody gets injured, then they're gonna charge you a hand and a foot to get that player. So I would go after one of those older quarterbacks. Maybe you could sneak in a Kirk Cousins. I doubt it, but maybe. But probably your best bets would probably be those two guys. Maybe a Will Levis type could also be a possibility. And then worst case scenario, I wouldn't give too much for him, but you could always do a Gardner Minshew type or something just to kind of get you through. Today Fork says I should hire Rich. Rich, funny enough, does not actually do floors. I mean, he does, but he does not do any of the labor anymore. I think he did when he first started, but he doesn't anymore. But yes, and he with him being about 2 hours and 45 minutes away, I don't think he wants his company coming down all the way down here. But I mean, I go up every Tuesday. Well, not lately. We've been remote a lot this summer with all of the sports schedules and things like that. But yeah, I don't think he wants to travel quite that far. Gump says, received an interesting trade offer. 12-team, start 11, tiered PPR, so half point for running back, 1 point for wide receivers, and then 2 points for tight end. Half per receiving first down as well. Okay, that's an interesting addition. Jordan Addison and Brock Bowers for my Marvin Harrison Jr. If I was higher on Jordan Addison, I'd consider it, but you just don't know when there's a new quarterback, especially a younger quarterback. You just don't know how all that's going to play out. So I would much rather just hold on to the superstar. If I'm giving up a superstar, especially a young superstar, you have to blow me away with an offer. Like, it can't just be like, oh yeah, that's a good offer. That's interesting. Like, no, I need you to blow me away with an offer. And I don't think that's one of those offers that would blow me away. Malk Dog, loved your draft profiles. Very helpful stuff. How much do you factor in Benson and Brooks' injuries when drafting? Are you concerned that they have high re-injury risk? Typically, the things that you have to worry about most with re-injury is the soft tissue stuff. That's the stuff you have to worry about most. So groin strains, things like that. Sometimes like ankle injuries can be lingering things. But the types of injuries that they've sustained aren't necessarily some that are prone to re-injury, at least not at a higher rate than anybody else in the league. So for me, I'm not overly worried about their injury profiles. But great question. Just traded Stroud. This is Sam saying, I just traded Stroud and 401 for Jefferson and 305 in a 10-team superflex. Lamar and Dak are my other quarterbacks. Still have 101. Still go with Caleb at the 101. So what changes this a little bit, if this was a 12 team, I would say absolutely zero question about it. When it's a 10 team, those super flex quarterbacks aren't as crazy valuable as they are in a 12 team, or especially in a 14 team league. They just fly off the board. So I would be open to Marvin Harrison Jr. At this point, it would be truly, who do you think is the better player? Who do you think is the least risky? Who do you like? Factoring all those things in, if that answer is Marvin Harrison Jr., I'm fine with it in a 10-team league. DS DeSorn? Jacob? Something like that. Is she moving to your basement? She is not. She still gets to live upstairs if she's good. What are your thoughts on mid-round Scott Fishbowl 14 wide receivers? I haven't taken a single one through round 6. Overall, I'm with you on that. My first 3 picks were non-wide receivers. I think I got 1 or 2 now through round 7 or 8. I think I have 2 through 8 rounds. So yeah, I'm with you. I think the route to go in Scott Fishbowl this year is fading wide receiver, especially when you look at the scoring settings and how guys would have finished last year. I think fading wide receiver is the route to go overall. Blake says, what would you add on to Malik Neighbors if you wanted to buy Jamar Chase? 2 early firsts, or would I need to add someone like a Nico Collins too? I think Nico, Malik, and 2 early firsts is too much. Just Malik and 2 early firsts is definitely fair. I think I would rather the 2 firsts than Malik, though. I like Jamar Chase, but I think Malik Neighbors as a prospect, and granted, prospects have more risk than guys that are already established, but you're insulating yourself with those 2 early firsts. So for me, I would be able to do probably Malik, an early first, and maybe a second would be the most I would be willing to give for Jamar Chase. Because, look, Jamar Chase has been very good. He has. He's been very good, but he has also been banged up a decent amount. And we've seen some week-to-week inconsistencies. Season-long, he ends up getting it done. But week-to-week, he's not as steady as you would maybe like for him to be. So I would say Malik an early first, and then a second would probably be the best I could do for him, which maybe won't get it done. But that's okay, because if you were to give 2, it would probably take you 2 early 25 firsts to get him. So now you're basically giving, if you go with your original thing, you're basically giving 4 first-round picks, which is just too much. 4 early first-round picks for Jamar Chase, which for me, it's just that's just a little bit too much. Jordan says, Garrett, what's up, homie? I have somehow improved my team more thanks to the GM and the Dynasty Nerds Discord. Hey, I'm glad to hear that, Jordan. Sometimes we just need a little helping hand. We have that team where we just can't quite seem to get it right for whatever reason. Everything we touch just doesn't work. And so sometimes you just need a little extra helping hand. And that's what we're here for at Dynasty Nerds, to give you that extra little oomph, little push to get to where you need to be. Mark says, would you trade Higgins 103 and 110 for Amon-Ra St. Brown and 1 QB? Ooh, that's tough. So 103, that's going to be Romo Dunze. 110, you're probably looking at Xavier Legette, Ricky Pearsall in that range. So it would basically be Pearsall, Odunze, and Higgins for Amon-Ra St. Brown. That would be one of those situations where I think that would be very team dependent for me, because I think it's a pretty close trade overall. Am I a team that has a lot of depth and I need to get to having a superstar? I need a player that can anchor my team week in, week out. Or am I the opposite? I have a lot of really good starting lineup players, but I have no depth. So I think that's kind of where that one would fall for me. Where is your team out considering that? And then I would kind of make my decision based on that situation. All right. Sedated Fork says, what TV show are you binging right now? I'm on The Bear. I am currently not binging anything. Now, don't get me wrong. I love a good binge. Love it. But right now, I have been so busy the past 3 weeks that if I'm being completely honest, and this is not like oh, poor Garrett, because it's all good stuff. But I have so much going on that I don't think I have had an hour of free time, like an hour straight of free time, since probably in the past 3 weeks. So, the earliest I've been done working on something, whether it's nerds related, I do a lot of stuff for my church, the basement. I have individual podcasts that I do for people's leagues, which I'm trying to finish up right now. All of these things, I don't think I've had, an hour of free time before 11 p.m. Since probably second to last week of June or so. So I am not binging anything at the moment. Now, that being said, I was going through Brooklyn Nine-Nine for a second time. I've already watched it once. I was going through it for a second time just because I love Andy Samberg. I'm a huge Andy Samberg fan. He, certain people just hit your funny bone. He gets it for me. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I'm super immature. But that being said, I didn't realize that Netflix only had the first 4 seasons. So I'm stuck right in the middle right now. And apparently the only platform that has all of it is NBC. So that kind of broke my heart. And so that stopped my most recent binge. Sam said, appreciate the advice. Possible man cave in the basement. There'll be man cave elements, but it's more going to be a place for the family to hang out, the girls when they have friends over, things like that. So it's not going to be a true man cave as much as I would love for it to be. Although I am going to get a pretty sick TV for down there. I haven't decided yet. Maybe you guys can tell me your opinion. Here's the 3 things I'm considering for TV situation in the basement. 1, I'm considering a dope projector, but they're really, really expensive. But I'm considering that. 2, just a real large, 80, 90 inch type TV. Just massive TV. Or doing where you put 4 TVs where you get the splitter and you do 2 upright, 2 upside down. So kind of all of them are meeting, and you can watch one thing on all 4 of them, or you can watch 4 separate things at once. So those are the possibilities I'm kind of considering for the basement, trying to decide what I want to do. I've even maybe considered doing one main TV and then 2 smaller TVs next to it for football, March Madness, different things like that. Or even if there's times where I'm watching something, but the football's on, but the girls want to be with me, and so I can put cartoons on or something like that, some Disney movie next to me. So I'm considering that as well. So curious your guys' thoughts on that, what you guys would prefer. All right. Marcus said, just watched the most recent episode. I made a dirty trade a few weeks ago. Oh, I got to hear this. I think, there he is. Evan Ingram, Kenneth Walker, Jordan Addison for Jaleel McLaughlin, Kyle Pitts, Romeo Doubs, and Sam Darnold. I would definitely want the Addison, Walker, Ingram side. I love Pitts. Don't get me wrong. But the rest of those guys are just filler pieces. So, yeah, great trade. I mean, assuming that you're on that side of that. Great trade for you. Old Mantastic, have you guys recorded a podcast this week? I didn't get one on my feed. Yes, we did. So we didn't get a chance to record till yesterday. And actually, I think it's almost done uploading. As soon as this is over, I will hit publish and it will be sent out. So you'll get this one, and then you'll get both the Nerd Herd and the second podcast of the week tomorrow. So our schedules have been crazy, but we will get everything out. So I promise all that will be coming out very, very soon. Malik Dog, I'm looking for a deep rookie wide receiver sleeper. I don't know if Tez Walker, Anaya Smith, Ryan Flournoy, Troy Franklin. I play in a few best ball tournaments too. It's hard to tell before training camps. Yeah, it can be a little tricky before training camps even start to really kind of pick out a flyer. Anaya Smith is an interesting one. He's somebody that could pop into the slot right away, be interesting. But there's only so much of a ceiling there because of all of the other pass catching options that you currently have on the team. So that one is a little bit of a trickier one, but I do think he's an interesting name, to say the least. Let me pull up my rookie rankings right now. Let me grab them. All right, so if I were to do a little bit of a deeper dive, I would say the guy that I would probably be going after will be Javon Baker. Javon Baker, I thought, had solid tape, not elite tape, but I thought he had solid tape, and it's a wide receiver room that's wide open. Like, there is nobody established as the number one wide receiver there. Now, they drafted Polk to be that guy, but we've seen it many times where the second guy drafted seems to end up being better than the first. And nerd score-wise, I gave them almost identical scores. So it wouldn't be a surprise to me to see him be the better overall player. And really the only other guys on that team are Kendrick Bourne and Pop Douglas. Both fine players, but just no one's established himself. So if there's a sleeper that could, I don't know, move up, looking pretty good. Let's see, who do we have next? Jordan says, I'm a commissioner of a new Dynasty league, and our startup draft is this weekend. What's your preferred trade deadline or no trade deadline? I am still a little old school in the sense that I like having a trade deadline. However, the new school side of me says that the traditional thoughts of having it week 8, week 9 is way too early. I like having the trade deadline right up until the playoffs. I want there to be action. I want guys to be moving, trading guys, all that, all the way up until the playoffs. But what I don't like is a team that's the 6th seed accidentally wins the first round and then upsets the second as well. And all of a sudden they're in the championship game. And now they're just trading for Christian McCaffrey from a team that's out of it. They're trading for whoever, big name players, and just selling the farm. And they have a completely different team than what they had all season. Like, that team shouldn't win a championship, in my opinion. So I'm good with having a trade deadline all the way up until the playoffs. But once the playoffs hit, no more trade deadline. That's my opinion anyway. Anthony says, can highly recommend an LG OLED C series. Ooh, okay. I like that. Gump says, big TV in the middle with 2 smaller ones on the sides. Okay, I'm down with that too. Sedated Fork, giant TV with 2 smaller TV. Look, that's the winner, it sounds like. Andrew says, I was looking at Dynasty versus Contender rankings with a buddy and added 2 to make an average score of everyone in the league. Have you ever considered a score like this? It was cool to look at. You know what? I don't know that we've ever done that. Combining the two. I would love to see how that turned out. What the rankings looked like if you combine the two together. So, yeah, feel free to send that over. I'd be curious to see, how that looked. So you can DM me at Dynasty Price. Marcus said, buddy of mine and I just ran through the first episode of a fantasy podcast. Any advice for some newcomers to the game? Ooh, okay, Marcus. I like it. First of all, send it over to me. I would love to hear it. There's lots of people that, just get their start, just trying to get their feet wet. So would love to hear it. Love to give you some advice, some tips, some pointers. As far as advice goes, one, don't be intimidated. Like, don't be intimidated. It's going to not be as good as you want it the first time around. Your voice is going to sound different than you think it does. And overall, most people, when they try their first one, they get nervous and they just kind of quit. Keep going. Don't just give up after one or two tries. Keep going with it. It's not going to be an overnight success. You're not going to get hundreds and thousands of listens and views right away. It's going to be a slow process. 2, remember that even the best podcasts, 98% of us started off just like you, just guys that really love this game and want to talk about it. And they get better over time. They learn the right things to talk about, the right topics, the ways to transition in and out of topics, all of the different ins and outs. They're just people just like you that just wanted to try just to see what happens. Some of them try it for a while and you know what? It never goes anywhere, but they had a fun time doing it. Others, it takes off and get to a point where they have a steady stream of listeners. Some, it gets to the point where they even start making a little bit of money. Some get really lucky, like we have at Dynasty Nerds. And we end up making this part-time or even full-time, like for me, full-time jobs. So just keep going, man. Just keep going. Gump says, Jalen Coker is a favorite of mine. There you go, Jalen Coker. Coker's interesting. Thanks. I know it's a tough question to answer now. I will be watching the draft profiles once again. Marcus agrees on Coker. Waggle, what's up, man? In my league, we don't have a deadline, but we lock trades during the playoffs for teams in the playoffs. So you can only trade with other playoff teams, I'm assuming? Or are you saying playoff teams cannot make trades, just teams that are not in the playoffs can trade with each other? Blake says, who do you see as having a big breakout in Green Bay's receiving room? And is there a sleeper pick in there that you don't mind grabbing for cheap? If I'm grabbing a sleeper, it'll probably be Wicks. Just because he's the cheapest of the group, either him or Dobbs. But overall, my thoughts on Green Bay's wide receiver room is it's probably going to be very frustrating. I think Jaden Reed is probably going to finish with the best fantasy season. But I could see it being really frustrating in the fact that, I guess this was a Christian Watson week. Somehow Romeo Dobbs got 11 targets this week. Jaden Reed caught 2 touchdowns. Dontavian Wicks had 2 huge plays. Like, each week I could see it being something a little bit different. How it was for a long time with Tom Brady, where, there were some interesting players at times, but it could be really frustrating week in, week out. I think that's could be how it is for Green Bay. So it's not that I'm not willing to touch any of them. It's that I'm going in with more best ball expectations than I am week to week guys that I know that I can put in my lineup. Andrew said, I'll have to do that after work, but wanted to pop in and ask that question. Yeah, man, I'm glad you did. Absolutely. Marcus, go ahead and send it to me through a DM. If you can't DM me, I know they've changed some of the rules and things like that. Just comment under something or tweet at me or whatever, and then I can send you a DM, and then you'll be able to send it over to me. Waggle says playoff teams can't trade until they're eliminated. Makes sense for me. Who is a must grab in best ball this year? So it's funny because I tend to like players that I didn't like as much in regular leagues. I tend to like them a lot more in best ball. And so, like, one guy that I'm way more willing to draft, way more excited about in best ball than I am in regular leagues is a rookie like Brian Thomas. I think his fantasy season is going to be very up and down. I think you're going to have a week where you get 130 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then I think the next week he's going to have 3 catches for 25 yards. And it's going to be really, really frustrating. But I think overall, when the season's done, I think he could have decent numbers for a rookie. So, like, he's a name that I would be a little more interested in having. Other players that I tend to have a little more shares of in best ball. I like Jalen Wright as well. I think he's a nice sleeper, like, deep guy that could, if something were to happen to Achane or happen to Jalen Wright or to Raheem Mostert. Honestly, I like the entire backfield for Miami in best ball. I would draft all of those guys in a best ball league. I tend to take Jonathan Taylor earlier than it seems like he's going. I wish I would have pulled up some of my best ball stuff. But yeah, those are the guys that I think are pretty interesting overall for best ball. Who is playing in the Super Bowl this year? Mal coming in with the $1 million question. Who is playing in the Super Bowl this year? Ooh. I would say I'm going to go with Chiefs make it back to the Super Bowl. And they go up against the Eagles. So it's a repeat of not this year's Super Bowl, but the year before. So we see the Eagles and no. I might be taking that back. Do I want to put the Eagles in? Yeah, I'm going to go with Eagles and Chiefs with a 3-peat. I know we haven't seen it in a long time, but I'm going to go with Chiefs with the 3-peat. All right. Let's see. What do I have next? Marcus says, how much interest does Dynasty nerds have in IDP leagues? I'm an absolute IDP nerd. 2 leagues. We start 11 IDP each and 1 flex, 1 QB for offense. Marcus, I always feel bad when this question is asked, especially as a guy that played linebacker in college. Like, because I, in real football, love the defensive side. Love watching good edge rushers. Love watching guys that can stuff the middle. Like, love that. But every IDP league I've ever played in, I've not enjoyed. I've just not enjoyed it. And so I am not an IDP guy. And I know that some people will think less of me now. And that's a risk I'm willing to take. Does it hurt a little bit? Yes, it does. But I just haven't enjoyed them. For me, it's if I go that extra layer, it's the Devy side. I would much rather start getting into the college guys, the scouting world, like that kind of stuff. That's the extra layer that I like to add. I don't enjoy the IDP much. So I'm apologizing now. I feel bad. But it's just not my lane. It's just not my lane. Sam said, have anything good for lunch? I have not eaten lunch yet. I haven't. I've been trying to be good. I've been trying to be good lately. I've been working out a little bit more. I've been watching what I eat a little bit more. And actually, part of the reason I was a couple minutes late, true story, just to add another thing that we have going on, we have a garage sale that is happening tomorrow and Saturday. So, of course, lots of setup and things like that. And my wife is doing a lot of the work for that. but her mom came over because her mom is also putting some things in the garage sale. And they both, I don't really, but they both love Papa John's. So I ran to go pick up the Papa John's pizza, which caused me to be a little bit late hopping on here. So, but I am not eating it. I'm trying to be good. So probably, as boring as it sounds, probably looking at a protein shake with a green apple after this. If not, maybe if I have enough time, I'll grill up a little salmon. Or maybe I'll do some eggs. I do like to do eggs quite a bit as well. So, yeah, I haven't eaten, and it probably isn't overly exciting what I'm going to eat. All right, we've got Ryan. He says, I'm a little behind, but I love that you touched on trade deadlines. Can't stand leagues with no deadlines. I personally think after week 10 is best. Malk, look at you, man. Hey, Malk sent over. I forgot that this was even a thing. Somebody did this a couple months back. Malk sent over a little do-re-mi, thanking us for the content and the time. Malcolm, genuinely appreciate that, dude. Like, the really, really kind of you. Us at Dynasty Nerds, we're just here to try to help out where we can. So thank you, man. I appreciate that. Feel free to hop in anytime, ask any questions, shoot me DMs. We do our best to try to just be with the nerd herd, just hang out with you guys. That's what we like to do. So anytime you have questions, we do our best to get to them. Marcus says 38-31 Eagles beat the Chiefs. We get our revenge and drop the three-peat. There you go, Marcus. Sedated Fork said it would be cool to have your best ball rankings available in the GM at some point. Not a bad idea. Something to consider and look at. Faith Family Fantasy Football. What's up, homie? Said, sorry I'm a little late for lunch. But do Sam Howell or Mac Jones have any value in Superflex 12-team leagues? Same format. What do you think of Will Levis and Baker Mayfield? So backup quarterbacks do always have some value for me in Superflex League. I would much rather have those guys than my 7th, 8th, 9th wide receiver when I'm going to have zero idea of when to play them. Like, when are you supposed to do that? No idea. Good luck on figuring out the 2 or 3 weeks a year where they're actually relevant. So I would much rather have backup quarterbacks like Mac Jones, like Sam Howell. Because if they earn that job for good, then all of a sudden their value skyrockets. But even if it's just a 2 or 3 week stretch, there are teams that get desperate and, hey, I'll trade you an early third. Hey, I'll trade you a late second for those kind of guys. If you're trying to trade your 7th, 8th wide receiver, good luck getting a 5th. So I would much rather have those types of players. And then as far as Will Levis versus Baker Mayfield, I think Mayfield's a little more insulated at this point, so I would much rather have Baker Mayfield than hope Will Levis turns into Baker Mayfield. Marcus said, sorry, we start 7 flex and 1 QB. Drop the mic. I'm late to the party, but I'm here. Drop the mic. What's good, homie? Are you you coming to the expo this year? Are you coming to the expo? I'll be there. I'll be seeing you guys in about a month. About a month now until the expo. So hope to see you there, man. Tej says, love the content. I just took a leap of faith in a trade. Ooh, this is going to be interesting. Traded Joe Mixon, Stephon Diggs, and a 2025 third for Brian Thomas, Trey Benson, and a 25 second. I have deep enough team to still contend without those players. Look, if you can still contend without those guys, I think it's a great deal. I think this is the perfect time to get out from Stephon Diggs, because I could see his value plummeting if we still see Nico and Tank Dell take over and it just doesn't quite work out for Diggs. I think that's in the realm of possibility. Then you add into the fact that I love Trey Benson. And I'm not the biggest Brian Thomas guy overall, but there's no denying the upside that he has and the potential that he has to take over in that offense. So for me, yeah, I like it. I think that's a good deal. Mark says we need to chat IDP. I've created a scoring system that balances everything. We have 10 plus IDP in the top 50 overall in scoring. Interesting. Seeing Max Crosby get traded for a high-end wide receiver 2, low-end wide receiver 1 juices me up. Man, that would help. I know there have been a couple guys that have tried to normalize scoring settings, because I know that's always been a tricky part in IDP, is getting a typical format for scoring settings for these guys. And it just seems like every league has a different scoring setting, which makes it really hard to give trade advice, things like that. All right, Malk Dog, Howe or Tyrod Taylor might play a couple games, but Mac Jones is just bad. Mac Jones is not good. He's not good, but the concept is where I live. And you're right, Tyrod Taylor, Sam Howell, Drew Lock. You just never know with some of these types of guys who's going to get an opportunity, who's going to get injured, who could take the job over. Aiden O'Connell is another one where could easily take the job over from Gardner Minshew. Or if your league values Aiden higher than Gardner Minshew. Guys that could take over at some point and then get a real boost in value. You're not usually going to get a huge boost from those low-end wide receivers. As you see, the one show's already posted, the deep data dives. By the way, you're going to want to go listen to that. It's data points that matter. It's already on YouTube. It's about to be on your podcast feed, and literally the next 20, 30 minutes after this show's over, it'll be up. But that's a place where you're going to really want to listen to, because there are some key data points that I think will be extremely, extremely helpful in identifying players that you should be going after and guys that you should just move on from, because the odds of them hitting are just so incredibly low. So go listen to that episode, watch that episode as soon as you can, drop whatever you're doing, go make it happen. Because I think, like I said, I put 20 some hours into this trying to identify this. Doesn't correlate. Try this. Doesn't correlate. Oh, this correlates great. And then putting all the data into it. So go check that out. Drop the Mic says, coming out again to the Expo. There you go. Marcus said, I added Carson Wentz because if Mahomes goes down, I've got value. Of course. Absolutely. A great one. Great one. I actually just randomly brought up Carson Wentz in this episode that we just talked about. So there you go. Steven Jr., I made it. Steven, welcome to the show, man. Love having you here. Appreciate you hanging out with us today. So I think I've made it through every question, but I've got a few minutes left. So any other questions that you guys want to ask, you guys want to get to, would be happy to answer any of them. Fun thing coming out on YouTube. Did an interview with Andy Holloway of the Fantasy Footballers yesterday, talking top 24 wide receivers for Dynasty. Really fun episode. He's a great, great dude. Really enjoyed having him on. So it was a really fun episode. So that should be dropping tomorrow. And then at the end of the next week, early the week after, we'll be dropping the top 100 players of the 2000s for Fantasy Football series. Spent a ton of time, a ton of work on that. Should be really, really fun. All right. Powerfold says, top 50 last year in my league was almost 50-50. Highest was Okulakin at 10. Interesting. Okay. Got some IDP guys here. Jordan says, boxers or briefs? I wear boxer briefs. So I guess that would be more in the brief family than the boxer family. I don't like to be all loosey-goosey. I like things to stay in place. So I'm more of a briefs guy, but I don't like the legs all wedging up in there. So that's why I like the boxer briefs. So that's kind of where I live. More of a boxer briefs guy. KD says, where are you at on Mike Williams? That's another one of those best ball guys that I really like. because I think he could have some huge weeks paired with Aaron Rodgers. I just don't know if the consistency will be there. Old man says Andy Holloway is in search of a good dentist, I hear. Oh, well, there you go. I didn't know that. There we go. Marga says, keep grinding, G. If you're ever down, just know you make a difference. These lunch chats are so much value to the overall Dynasty Nerds brand. I appreciate that, man. I love just hanging out with you guys. I do. Like, this is honestly almost as much for me as it is for you guys. Yes, it's a lot to just, stare at a screen and talk for a while, but I love doing it. I love hanging out with you guys. I love having this time to just talk Dynasty. We will be having a new Talking Dynasty episode coming out soon as well. Forgot to mention that. That should be a really fun episode. So excited to cover that as well. But guys, I hate to do this, but duty calls. I've got to get this podcast episode out. So I've got to get that out, and got a lot to do with this garage sale and all of these things. So I have got to wrap up the Dynasty lunch break here. But guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for hanging out. Like I said, reach out anytime. Do my best to try to get to as many questions as I possibly can. So, love you guys. Hope you guys have fantastic weeks. And join me again here next week at noon for Dynasty Lunch Break.